Karen,
Yes.
Can
What was that? That was a big sigh.
I know, because I know what's going to happen here.
Oh, boy.
Can I ask you something without you giving me that here we go again look?
Probably not, but you can try.
As I said, that's why the big sigh. So, all right. You know that quiet, low-grade panic when you scroll the news and you think, are we actually evolving? Or are we unraveling with better Wi-Fi?
Yes, I know that well.
Right. Because, we meditate, we try to be conscious, no matter how much effort we put into it. The world still feels like it's looping, right?
Yeah.
War, division, collapse. It's like we're waking up, but we're also kind of like we're on fire.
Yeah. Or like waking up in the middle of a nightmare.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, today's guest doesn't hand out crystals or coping mechanisms. He's going to introduce something much, much bigger.
Ooh.
The idea that what looks like a breakdown is actually a phase in a much longer evolutionary process, and that humanity may not be navigating it alone.
Ooh.
So if you're exhausted by the chaos, if you've assumed this is just humanity failing harder, what if this isn't the end of civilization, but the transition to a new one? And you actually have a role in it. And what does the word maitreya have to do with any of this?
What does that even mean?
We're diving into that on this episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
Welcome back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians, where we are asking whether civilization is collapsing or just going through an aggressively awkward evolutionary puberty.
Feels like the second.
Our guest today is Dick Larson, a retired counselor with a background in business and education who has spent decades exploring practical spirituality and meditation. He's a longtime student of the Ageless Wisdom teachings and a volunteer with Share International, where he focuses on the intersection of world events, human evolution, and spiritual development. Now, through lectures, radio appearances, and public access television, Dick has consistently shared a message that even in times of upheaval, there's a purpose, a direction, and real opportunity for growth. I am excited to speak with you today. Dick Larson, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
Good. I'm glad.
I think I'm just going to have to be holding on for this conversation.
No. I will tell you this. You will hear some things you've never heard before. That I promise. Well, yeah. And I hope you find it interesting, or if I didn't think you would, I wouldn't be wasting your time.
Wow. Well, that makes it even more exciting. So here we go. Let's get just dive right into it, Dick. The world seems like it's falling apart faster and faster. Mm-hmm. Give us that hope that we so desperately need.
Well, that's my goal throughout this conversation. Just to start with, I want to tell your audience a couple of things that people usually ask when I do this in person. The first thing is, please don't believe anything I say. That would be blind belief, and I can't recommend that to anybody. All I ask is that your listeners just hear what I have to say and kind of let it set like a brick in their lap, and just kind of think it over for the next 2 or 3 days, and don't react immediately to it. Just kind of hear it with as open a mind as you can have, which is challenging.
Oh boy, Dick, you are.
No, I'm getting all nervous.
Talk about anticipation. So, is this a brick in our lap or a brick in our stomach? Because it's a two totally different things.
Oh
right?
No, it's in your lap. Just let it rest in your lap.
Okay.
Yeah, gently.
All
yeah,
right.
And the second thing I would like your listeners to know right away is the source for my information. People always ask that. The source for my information, you already mentioned it once, Will, and that is the Ageless Wisdom teachings. Well, where did I get the Ageless Wisdom teachings? Primarily from a man named Benjamin Creme, spelled C-R-E-M-E. It looks like cream, but it's pronounced creme.
It's like French, right?
He was born in Scotland and then lived most of his life in London, England. So he had this really fascinating accent, which was part British and part Scottish. Interesting to listen to. For 40 years, he's gone around the world telling this story free of charge, with no income at all for doing it, just housed by us volunteers around the world who are trying to help him get this story out. He's passed away now, several years ago, in his 90s, but he was in contact with one of the masters of wisdom. They're also called ascended masters. He was in contact with one of these masters and was able to give out tremendous information, just startling, but hopeful information. Okay. And I just heard it, and I didn't understand everything he said the first time he lectured in Los Angeles when I was there. Most of it went right over my head. But as I read his books and I started to listen to him more, it started to make sense to me.
All right. I gotta ask, when you mentioned that Mr. Krem was in contact with these ascended masters, you know what my pragmatic mind goes to, right?
Where?
A lot of drugs involved in this?
No, not a bit. His contact was telepathy. Now, you have to be evolved to a certain point. He never took any credit for spirituality or whatever for his level of evolvement. But you have to be evolved to a certain extent to be able to do mental telepathy. It's not channeling. Channeling is an emotional communication. And telepathy is a very precise mental comprehension. And so that was his contact. It took him quite a while to learn how to do it. But when he did, his communication was pretty complete with this. And it was one master that he was in contact with.
And that master happens to the name starts with an M, perhaps?
No.
Oh, no. I guess wrong.
Maitreya is the world teacher, and he did receive some information from Maitreya telepathically, but throughout his teaching and his travels, the master that he was in contact with, he was not allowed to tell us who it was. He said for two reasons. He said, number one, people will try to contact that master and it will distract him from his work. The masters don't sleep. They don't eat. They work 24 hours a day. And their main deal is to support humanity in our evolution and our growth and our safety, and to the extent they can. And so he wasn't allowed to give out the name of the master. I have an idea who it was, but I'm not at liberty to say. But it was one of the very evolved masters of wisdom. There are 63 of them.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I was going to ask you that.
Connected with Earth service, with working for us. When you become a master, there's like 7 paths you can take. And one of them is the path of Earth service. And there are 63, lucky for us, masters who have chosen to do that. These are people that were Buddha, Krishna, Confucius, Muhammad, Jesus, those people. They have become masters. They went through thousands of lifetimes and eventually became perfected human beings. And when you become perfect, you have nothing more that planet Earth can teach you. So then you don't need a body anymore, and you become a permanent consciousness, a permanent spirit, whatever you want to call it. And they reside in the mountains and desert regions of the world where there's no pollution to distract them, no noises, nothing like that.
Wow. Karen, I'm a little worried. I'm going to miss you because you must be almost there. You're so close to perfect.
So I was just going to ask you, when you said that they reside, so are they earthbound? Like, are they attached to the earth like we are, or are they more in the
spiritual realm?
Yeah.
No, they're at rest. Some of them have bodies, and some of them just have their consciousness at rest in the mountains or desert regions of the world. But yeah, they're on the planet. They're not up in heaven somewhere, wherever we think heaven is.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to wrap my mind around this, but their consciousness is in the mountains and desert, just disembodied consciousness happens to be in a mountain?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. They're in the Himalayas. There's one master in the mountains out here, the San Bernardino Mountains out here on the West Coast, just north of Los Angeles. There are 14 masters on the planet right now. And there's a master in London. That's Maitreya. We'll talk more about him.
Okay.
There's a master in Geneva. There's a master in Darjeeling, one in Tokyo, one in New York, one in the mountains out here in in California. There are 14 of them, one in Rome. The one in Rome everybody's heard of. And so we'll get to talking about them, but there are 14 on the planet now. And before this age of Aquarius is over, there will be over 40 masters in physical bodies walking on the planet, and they'll be giving us suggestions, giving us advice. They'll never make us do anything or tell us to do anything. They're teachers, and they will say, well, have you thought of trying this? Well, what do you think about this? That's how they'll work.
So they're almost like angels on the planet, right? Angels in physical form.
Absolutely.
So how will people know who they are? Because if someone gives them the suggestion, if they know it's a master, they're going to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they will identify themselves. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But not until Maitreya does first. Maitreya is their leader. That's spelled Maitreya, Maitreya. It's Sanskrit. It means the happy one, the one who brings joy.
So the fat Buddha.
He's not a Buddha. The Buddha is his brother. He and the Buddha were the first two to complete physical, earthly evolution and become permanent spirits. They were the first two. So they're like brothers. They work together all the time.
Dick, what is Maitreya waiting for?
Mike, that's a good question. Maitreya is waiting for the best time to come forward. How do we define that? The best time to come forward, as little as I know, I'll share what I know, is when he thinks he can get the most people's attention when he comes forward. He's going to come forward on radio and television worldwide. That's what the satellites are up there for. They're not up there for World Cup soccer. They're up there for this event. And he will announce himself to the world. I am Maitreya, the world teacher, and I'm here to help you dig your way out of this mess that you've made of things. He's not going to say that, but that's,
I mean, he might.
That's probably should.
Basically what he's going to be doing. Yeah. And so he will introduce himself, and then he will introduce one of the other masters who the world knows, and that's the Master Jesus. The Master Jesus is here now in a physical body, living on the outskirts of Rome. The Pope knows he's here, and a couple cardinals around the Pope know, but they've been asked not to tell anybody because it's our responsibility to recognize them when we see them.
Dick, you are talking about the second coming here, right?
It is the second. It is the second coming.
This is big stuff we're talking about.
It's not the end of the world.
Well, I mean,
at all.
The prophecy says, right? The second coming ushers in the end times. No?
He says, I will be with you till the end of the age. That's what Jesus said. And the end of the age was the end of the age of Pisces. And now he'll be here in the age of Aquarius in physical person. He is here. Let me go back to the end of the world. Each planet, now this is according to the Ageless Wisdom, you don't have to believe this. Each planet has what's called 7 rounds of life. Each round is millions and millions of years. And at the end of that 7 rounds, they become a perfect planet. The people on it are perfect, and that's what makes it perfect. Okay, so that means the people on it become masters. And so we're all going to become masters at some point. We have this to look forward to. So the Earth right now is in the middle of the 4th round. So there are 3 rounds left, millions and millions and millions of years left for planet Earth.
Oh, man.
We're in the middle of the 4th round. Now, you guys were talking earlier about something very interesting that actually happens in the middle of the 4th round. And that is the people on the planet wake up. They start to realize that there's more to life than just food, shelter, education, clothing. They start to realize there's a deeper meaning to life. And that's where we're at right now, which means we're ready for the master's teachings.
Okay, so
I mean, I've got a lot of questions, but I want to give
Please.
Karen an opportunity.
Well, How do you think that'll, I don't want to say work out, because you know how things are today. I mean, everyone is just fighting each other and angry
Very
and looking
cynical.
for a scapegoat, and anybody who's different is, bad or less than or evil. So
Yes.
here's going to come someone who's going to say,
I am the world teacher.
that could be very polar. I mean, it could go two ways, right?
Mhm.
Very polarizing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Well, first of all, Jesus said, I will bring the sword of cleavage. And the sword of cleavage is his love. And the love that is being poured into the planet right now by Maitreya and the other masters is what is causing us to act more like how we really feel. And that creates tremendous separation. And that separation is intentional. Why? Because it makes our choices clearer. It becomes real clear. Either you want to go this way or you want to go this way. It makes the choice easier for humanity to see and to make. So that sort of cleavage has created this separation. Now, what's going to happen under the masters is we're going to come back together. But right now, it's there. It's very real. And this will happen when Maitreya comes forward. Benjamin Creme said about a third of the people will say, what you're saying makes sense. I think I want to try. I think I want to help. About a third of the people will go, whoa, I want to wait and see. I'm not sure. And the other third will say, look out, Antichrist, Antichrist.
Right.
And so that's about what will happen. And then as time goes on, the tree is known by its fruit. And as the time goes on, people will see that the masters, everything they say is true. Everything they say, they do, and that they do nothing but good. They're full of goodwill for humanity. They don't judge us. They don't criticize us. They're totally tolerant of us. Why? Because they were us. They've been through everything we've been through. They've killed people. They've been killed. They've abandoned people. They've been abandoned. They've been poor and uneducated. They've been wealthy and very educated. They've had every experience you can have on this planet. So they understand us absolutely, totally. And that's why they don't judge us. They just love us.
Well, this is fascinating. It's such an incredible concept that we've not talked about, and incredibly hopeful and wonderful if it all works out the way you're talking about.
Yes.
And I hope that it does, because I have
Me
hope
too.
for humanity. I bet. And
I have more than hope. I'm absolutely convinced. But I don't ask the audience to be. I'm just introducing these ideas.
Mhm.
I'll give you a quote from Maitreya. Maitreya said, "Do not be afraid of the future. All will be well. All manner of things will be well." That's a direct quote.
And I love that quote. And
Mhm.
it matches a lot of different conversations that we've had over the last several years on this show.
Oh, good.
But the biggest, you brought up the biggest question mark at the very beginning of your conversation with you. You mentioned that the audience should not believe anything that you say.
Right.
How is it that you believe it so completely?
Because of my personal experiences.
Okay, now we're getting to
Here
it.
we go.
I've experienced Benjamin Creme many, many, many times. I mean, every year he came from London, he came to New York and gave a lecture. Then he came to Los Angeles and gave a lecture. Then he went to San Francisco and gave a lecture. Then he went to Tokyo and gave a lecture. And then, and around the world, Geneva, London. And he did this every year for over 40 years. And during his lectures, you would receive a blessing. He would ask Maitreya to go through Benjamin Creme and give a blessing to the audience. And that's how it would start. His lecture would start with a blessing and end with a blessing. And now people who are really sensitive to energy were just blown away by these blessings. I'm not. My body's like a brick. I mean, I feel
Ditto.
very little. I feel a little bit of a tickle in my throat sometimes and a little bit of a vibration in my head sometimes when I meditate. but that's about it for me. I basically meditate on faith. I'm assuming something is happening, and so I do it regularly every day. But his lectures gave that experience. Number one. Number two, he had a retreat in Europe and in America, up in San Francisco, for co-workers, Share International volunteers. We're all volunteers. None of us are paid, to try and help get the word out that Benjamin Creme was talking about and give people some hope.
Mm-hmm.
And so this conference up in San Francisco was people from the Americas, North America, South America, Australia, New Zealand, and a couple Japanese people also attended, about 125 of us total. There aren't a lot of us around the world that are doing this. And so he would give lectures. We would have a question and answer periods. Then we would, my favorite part was always after his lecture was over and we did our 3 or 4 or 5 hour meditation that night. We would go, I know, I wasn't used to that.
4 or 5 hours. Oh my God. I could barely do 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, people, your audience doesn't need to do that. All they need to do is a little 15-minute meditation in the morning or in the evening if you can do it without falling asleep.
Right.
I always fall asleep, so I do it in the morning.
Me too. Same exactly.
Yep. A little 15-minute meditation. If you don't know when 15 minutes are up, look at the clock, and you close your eyes so you're not easily distracted. You try to do it in the same place every day, because that creates a spiritual energy in that place and makes it easier for you to meditate in that place. I do it in front of a painting by Benjamin Creme. He's an artist. He did tremendous paintings. There's a Benjamin Creme museum in Los Angeles, and there's one in London too, I believe. If there isn't, there will be. Anyway, tremendous paintings. And then he had lithographs made of them, prints,
Sure,
true, perfect to the color, and signed by him. And I bought a lithograph, and that was his only income from doing all of this, was selling lithographs. Yeah. So anyway, I meditate in front of that, but I close my eyes once I'm ready to start. But I spent a lot of time with Benjamin Creme at these once a year retreats. And my favorite time was when we were done with meditation, we would go into the break room and have tea or coffee and cookies or fruit or whatever was here and talk. And Benjamin Creme always made himself available to us. And then we could just talk to him like you talk to your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
We could ask him questions, I'll tell you an example. When people think they've had an experience of one of the masters, they could write to Share International magazine, monthly magazine around the world. And then if Benjamin Creme would check with his master, and if it really was a master experience, he would publish that letter in Share International magazine, and at the very end say who the master was. Oh. Well, one of these little sessions, I said to Benjamin Creme, I said, my mother lives in Minnesota, and she was walking from the parking lot into the grocery store, and she slipped on some ice and fell. Now, she was about 80 years old at the time.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she wasn't hurt. And she told me when I went home to visit, she said, these 2 really wonderful men came over and helped me up. And she said, one of them even walked me all the way to the door just to make sure I'd make it okay. And of course, I'm thinking right away, masters, I didn't say that to her. I just said, have you ever seen them since? She said, no. And so that got her thinking. Well, then I asked Benjamin Creme at this coffee session, I said, were they masters? And he said, yes. The one that helped her up was the Master Jesus, and the one that walked to the door was Maitreya.
Good Lord.
They've been appearing to people for the last 30 years around the world as ordinary people, sometimes homeless, sometimes African American, Asian American, European, whatever. And so those are those kind of times when it's really special to be with Benjamin Creme. And I'll tell you, he's never bragged about his spirituality. He's never taken any credit for it. He gives all the credit to the master that worked through him, that he communicated with. And he's just a great sense of humor, and the most evolved person I've ever been around, I'm sure. but there wasn't a false bone in his body. He always spoke the truth. So I just came to realize that in my experience, this is true. And then I started seeing masters and experiencing them. Yeah. So,
that was going to be my next question.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, well, I don't even have to ask it. Tell us about it.
okay. Well, there were several. But this will give your listeners an idea whether they've seen a master or not, because a lot of them may have and just didn't know it. I was driving in my car right about sunset, driving home in Pasadena, and I stopped at a red light, and I looked over, and there was a bus bench on the other side of the street, and there was a homeless guy all slouched down with a filthy tan trench coat on and a gray beard and mustache, and he just looked filthy. And I looked over at him, and he looked up at me, and my very first thought was, that guy is looking right through me. And then the light turned green, and I went on. Well, one of the ways you know you had an experience with the master is it's a very common, ordinary experience. The guy just looked at me, but you can't get it out of your mind. I mean, I thought about that day after day after day. It kept coming up. And so I finally wrote to Benjamin Creme. It was the Master Jesus. I know. I was walking. I was going to the Cal State University to get my master's, and I was leaving class and walking to the parking lot along this sidewalk on the campus, and two young men were walking towards me, and then I could see right between them the face of a young woman. She looked to be 20, maybe. Shoulder-length brown hair, very kind of average face. And then as she got close to me, she gave me what I would call a Mona Lisa smile, that little kind of half smile. Oh, my heart just jumped for joy. I felt so full of love and so happy. And I looked back, and she wasn't there. And my feet barely touched the sidewalk as I went to my car.
Wow.
And I thought, man, I wish I could make people that happy just by smiling at them. So I finally, of course, I couldn't forget it. I finally wrote to Benjamin Creme. She was maitreya. So never said a word, just gave me that incredible blessing that was just love and joy. I mean, if you feel really joy when you look at somebody and you can't explain it, you saw a master.
Okay, so that brings up a question. You said that woman was Maitreya, but you've mentioned the Maitreya as a man outside of Rome, or outside in London. Sorry. So these masters able to change their shape?
Sure. They don't have I don't know, how do I say this? They are the masters of all the sciences of planet Earth. They're master scientists. So they're not subject to gravity or any of the laws of science that we're aware of. So they can create a body by thought any way they want to. The body can be a young girl. It can be a homeless African-American man, which I saw. They can do that. Just let me think. Anyway, yes, they do that. And they can appear just as physical, shake your hand, just as solid as a regular, normal person, and then they disappear later. You may see them disappear, or you may not.
You understand how this sounds, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, what? How is it? I mean,
they're doing this to let us know that they're there, to let us know that they're always with us, that we don't have to worry. They're taking care of us, and that they're real. And so they're doing it with people who they hope will recognize them and write into Share International so that the world can hear about it, because that's the point,
Gotcha.
So yeah, I was at a Share International booth at a conference, and we had a booth for giving out information. And I had two things happen. One was a grandmother and her little girl came up to me, and they were looking at the books, and they were interested. And there's a picture of Maitreya's handprint. I don't have it here. And yeah, I do. And anyway, it's just a photo of Maitreya's handprint that he put on a mirror in the bathroom in Spain. And the woman wiped it off, and it came back.
Oh.
So she said, something's going on here. Her son took a picture of it. He knew about Benjamin Creme. He sent it to Benjamin Creme. Benjamin Creme said, this is Maitreya's hand. And Maitreya said, this is as close as he can get to us before he openly reveals himself. If you look at his hand for a few seconds, he will make any wish that you have come true as long as it's within karmic law.
Oh, we're going to Spain.
I'm sure he's not talking about a red Chevy, I mean.
Oh, man. Okay. Never mind.
But it was published in Share International Magazine, and it's available online. You can order it. It's printed on cardboard, about like that. And I have one hanging over my desk here. And anyway, the handprint, I gave it to her. And I said, the story's on the back about the woman in Spain. I said, this is the handprint of Maitreya. And she said something which I didn't understand. She was way down here and I'm way up here, and she had a quiet voice. And I bent over further and she said something, and I thought she said, is it free? And I said, yes, of course it's free. She went, no, come here. So I bent way down and she said, this is the hand of Christ. And I said, yes. How did you know that? Blew me away. Well, of course, I asked Benjamin Creme. She was the Master Jesus.
Oh, geez,
Wow.
And the grandmother was a disciple of Jesus. Yeah. Isn't that cool?
That's amazing.
Now, the Christ thing will confuse people.
Yeah.
Maitreya is the Christ for our planet. Not every planet has a Christ. Not every planet has someone that's evolved that far, that perfectly to become a Christ.
But people see Jesus as Christ, but he was Christ back then.
I'll tell
as
you why.
opposed to, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. The age-old way for the masters to give out their information is through one of their very senior disciples. Prince Gautama agreed before he was born to give out the Buddha's information, teachings. Well, then when he sat under the Bodhi tree at that point in his life, he was ready. And the Buddha basically overshadowed him. What that means is the Buddha put his consciousness into the consciousness of Prince Gautama. And so the prince could give out the Buddha's teachings, and he became known as Gautama Buddha.
Right.
Yeah. Same thing with Jesus. Same thing with Krishna. Same thing with Confucius.
I see.
Maitreya overshadowed Jesus. Jesus knew what he was doing when he came, a very advanced disciple, not a master yet. And he could have given out great teachings on his own, but he humbled himself to give out Maitreya's teachings. So at the baptism at age 30, Maitreya overshadowed him. And for the next 3 years, he gave out Maitreya's teachings.
Wow.
And became known as Jesus the Christ, even though he wasn't the Christ. And that's how the masters give out their information. Yeah. Now, Jesus will be able to tell all the Christians this story. When he comes forward, when you'll see them both on television, and Maitreya will say, this is my brother, the Master Jesus. Jesus will say, this is my brother, Maitreya, the world teacher. And then Jesus' job, as I understand it, is to get the churches back on track, the Christian churches. Now, every major religion has lost their way and too much dogma, and so on. And so Jesus' job, and I feel sorry for him,
yeah, for sure.
his job is to purify the Christian churches worldwide. Of course, the largest one is the Roman Catholic Church, and to purify them, and there'll be no more popes. Jesus will sit at the head of the Christian church worldwide, and give out his teachings and get the church back on track.
Ooh.
Isn't that interesting?
I mean, it sounds amazing.
It really does.
If you're a Christian, it's a great time to be alive, because this is going to happen very soon. Could happen this year.
Well, I'm hoping that it does. However,
me too.
I'm a little nervous if it does at the same time, because I can only imagine that if all this goes exactly as you mentioned, I can only imagine the people who are currently in power are not going to stand for it.
Yes.
And it's going to cause what we're seeing now to look like child's play.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
great point. Here's what Maitreya says. Maitreya says, and he's given out 140 messages through Benjamin Creme a long time ago in the 70s, 77, 78. And in those messages, he revealed a lot of his teachings, but by his knowledge, just a fraction. And one of the things he said is that it's time for the people to rule the world, not the leaders. That the leaders will get to a point where they will only do the will of the people, because otherwise we'll vote them out.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, it's time for the people to rule the world, not the leaders. These little powerful dictators, their time is done. They just don't know it yet. Here's why. Can I talk about Aquarius, the age of Aquarius for a minute?
By all means, yes, of course.
Okay. The age of Aquarius has two primary energies, cooperation and synthesis. That's the future for humanity. We're going to work together very well, cooperatively. What's going to happen is cooperation is going to replace competition.
Oh, please
We're
make
gonna
that happen now.
Yeah, I know. We're going to go from a you or me world to a you and me world. We're going to treat each other like the souls, living souls that we are. We're going to treat each other like brothers and sisters of one God, which we are. One God, many names, but one God.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the deal about the age of Aquarius. Every time there's a new age, we are sent a great teacher to bring the teachings to humanity for that age. 2,000 years ago, we were lucky enough to get two great teachers, the Buddha and Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Buddha taught the wisdom of God. Jesus taught the love of God. They were the teachers, especially primarily Jesus, the teacher for the age of Pisces. You know, what's the symbol for Pisces?
The fish.
A fish.
Mm-hmm.
He fed the crowd with fish. He said, I'll make you fishers of men. There's all these fish analogies. There's two symbols for Christianity.
Yep.
The cross and the fish.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Most Christians can't tell you why the fish. That's because he was the teacher for the age of Pisces. And he knew that. Yeah. Now it's Aquarius, and we get a teacher for this age who is Maitreya. Buddha taught the wisdom of God. Jesus taught the love of God. Maitreya comes to teach the will of God and the purpose behind that will. So all of us that have been trying to do God's will are finally going to find out what it is.
Oh, excellent.
I know.
I mean, I don't know what the confusion is. I am right here.
Where there's a will. So I have it's a related but not related question. So
Sure.
humanity is going to go through this change, and we're going to become more perfect or better.
Slow.
But
Slowly.
what we have done to this planet that we're on,
Yeah.
is disastrous. I mean, will the planet survive? Like, is that going to get better also to be able to maintain people that are also better?
Maitreya has said it will. But the question is, how many species will we kill through
Yeah.
pollution before, that will just end their life on the planet forever
Mhm.
before we do? And how many humans will we kill
Yeah.
through this pollution? I was doing a booth at another convention, and a young black man, he looked to be about 28,
Mhm.
30, walked up to the booth, tennis shoes, blue jeans, shirt, and started talking to me about pollution. And he said, it's over. It's over. We're killing this planet and everything on it. And I said, no. We have time. We have time if we work hard. And he said, well, I can't, but you can. I'm the observer. And I thought, master, right away. And he said, we have to turn it around. The scientists are right. Everybody else is wrong. We have to turn it around now. And he used the quote, it's now or never.
Mhm.
And I wrote that's how urgent the climate crisis is and the pollution.
For sure.
And I wrote that letter to Benjamin Creme, and it appeared in Sharon International magazine with a big headline that said, it's now or never.
Now or never. Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, so we have to get to it right away.
Mhm.
The biggest pollution right now, everything's polluted.
Yeah.
The ground, the water, the air, all that. But the biggest pollution that we don't even know about is nuclear pollution. The nuclear energy is so high, some of it, the worst part of it, that our crude instruments can't measure it. And it is spewing out of all of these nuclear reactors. out
Right.
into the air and into the ground and into the water and harming humanity. Its two biggest effects that it's creating are earlier and earlier onset of Alzheimer's and a much higher percentage of autistic children being born. It used to be 1 in 80 and now 1 in 800. Now it's like 1 in 80
Wow.
autistic children, and it's nuclear pollution, and we don't even know about it. So the masters are going to tell us we need to shut these things down right away.
Mm.
And hopefully, we'll respond and do it. That's the biggest and most harmful pollution, but there's all kinds of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can totally see how you've gone for 2 hours in a conversation. This is, I can talk to you for a long time.
Yeah.
A couple of things come to mind, and I
Yes.
just want to touch on a couple of them. First, I need to ask you a question, Karen. Do you think you've run into any masters?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Because I tell you, I think I have.
Yeah?
Remember that story I'd say all the time about the mountain of God?
Yeah.
Remember I told you about that guy who was in his late 20s, early 30s?
Lawrence? Like the guru?
No, that wasn't told to me by Larry.
Oh,
That was told to me by some random guy that I never saw after.
really?
Yes. I met this man who I used to go to a metaphysical bookstore, and I ran into him one time, and he was the most grounded. The energy coming off him was just unbelievable. And I just said, how is it that you can stay so grounded? Like how is it you can live your life this way? And he says, let me tell you a story. And he told me the story of the mountain of God, the story that I've told on the show many times, but I'll try to go really quickly just for your benefit, Dick. God was standing on his mountain of truth one day, and he's looking down on the world, and he's very happy with what he sees. So he goes in to take a closer look, but as he does, he loses his footing, and he stumbles back, and as he does, a couple of pebbles get dislodged from the mountain of truth and fall down onto the world. And he looks down and goes, oh, what have I done? And as he looks, he sees all the people from the world running to these pebbles, raising the pebbles over their heads and crying out, I have the truth. Well, in essence, all they have is a little pebble from the mountain of truth. He's the guy who told me that story, and I never saw him again afterwards.
Wait, where did you see him?
At the metaphysical bookstore where I was studying all my...
That's the kind of story a master would tell.
You think, right?
Sure.
So I think, whoa.
Yeah.
How cool would that be? Anyway, I digress.
Well, he probably knew you were going to do this interview with me.
Many, many years later.
Oh, I'm dead serious. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that you could tell me and I could confirm it.
Okay, so I need to send a letter to Mr. Krem and see if he identifies the master.
You can't. He passed over.
Passed away.
Yeah. Oh, he passed away.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll tell you, there's just a really 95% chance that was a master. Yeah.
All right, I'll take those odds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Sure. Yeah. I saw a man there's a homeless guy that used to live in this park near where we lived in Pasadena, and I used to go and give him money every Saturday. He'd be there. And I went down one Saturday and he wasn't there. It was right before Christmas, and my mom, I loved her Christmas cookies, and she baked some Christmas cookies in Minnesota and sent them to me. And so I put some of them together in a little coffee can in the days when there were coffee cans, and went out to the park to give to this guy, and he wasn't there. And I saw a homeless man over there sorting his clothes out of a shopping cart onto the park bench and flattening them out. And I went over there. He had a light brown beard and mustache. He real ruddy complexion, looked like homeless guy,
Mm-hmm.
And I'd said that they sometimes call themselves campers. I'd heard that. So I said, hi, are you a camper? And he said, well, you could say that. And I said, well, I got these cookies from my mother, and I want you to have them. And he said, oh, if they're from your mother, I'm sure they're very good. And thank you. And I said, you're welcome. And I went back home. I could not get that guy out of my mind to save my neck.
Right.
Well, I finally wrote to Benjamin Krem. It was the Master Jesus.
Oh, wow.
So you just never know.
So
Yeah.
I really, really, really want to believe that this stuff is all real, right? That this is finally, yes, we have hope. It's coming. First of all, it's not fast enough for my taste, but okay, whatever. So
For anybody's.
right, but Dick, you started telling us how you were so sure that this stuff is real, and
Mhm.
we got distracted. So, and I apologize for that. So, can you tell me again how do you know for sure that this is legitimate?
I know because I know. I mean, in my heart of hearts, I know it's true. I've studied it long enough. I've had master experiences, which I don't doubt for a second. They were clearly unusual and special.
Mhm.
I have friends who've had master's experiences. I have been exposed to Benjamin Creme many, 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 many times, and worked and meditated with him and talked with him so many times. I mean, the guy just oozes the truth, and it just the biggest part of it was it made sense to me.
Mhm.
It just makes sense that we're not here for nothing. We're not here for no reason at all. Mark Twain said, the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you found out why.
I like that.
We're going to find out why because we're going to
Yeah.
find out what God's will is.
Mm.
Maitreya is going to teach us that. The thing, his first four priorities are real basic stuff: food for everybody, housing for everybody, healthcare for everybody, and education for everybody as human rights,
Mhm.
free of charge, human rights. Those are already in the UN's declaration
Mm.
Mhm.
of the United Nations. But those are his first four priorities. That and the environment are his first four priorities. So real basic stuff. I mean, he's not coming to do magic tricks and stuff. He's coming to teach us how to clean up the mess we made. Now, here's the thing. There are two great laws. There are more than two. There's a whole bunch of them. But two of the greatest laws of God, of the spiritual universe,
Mhm.
are the law of cause and effect. In the East, they call it karma. In the West, we call it cause and effect. For every effect, there's a cause. Scientists call it the law of action and reaction. For every action, there's an equal. Jesus taught it. He said, as you sow, so shall you reap.
Mhm.
It was so simple, people just overlook it.
Mm.
They don't even think about it. It's one of the major laws of life. If you don't want people to cut you off in traffic, don't cut anybody off. That's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly how it works. I mean, I've seen that work out in my life so many times. And so that law of cause and effect, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's
Lost my
okay.
train of thought.
I'll drop it at a point here again. Also,
Yeah. The other law is rebirth, the law of reincarnation.
gotcha. Right.
And our soul is permanent, and it comes back and takes bodies in the womb. It attaches to a body, and then it lives that lifetime, and then it detaches when that body dies, and it waits. It goes into the spiritual kingdom and learns lessons from that lifetime. That's how the judgment day is us judging ourselves. We go, oh, I really screwed up there. That really bothered. And you see the ripple effect of what you did, good or bad,
Mhm.
and you learn from it. So then we go to this little school called the Day of Judgment, and then we come back and attach to another body. Here's the trick. The soul remembers where we left off in our last lifetime. So we always pick up where we left off in every lifetime. So we're constantly moving up, evolving. Now, you can take a lifetime and just coast if you want to. You don't have to learn anything or be spiritual or anything, you know.
Mhm.
I know a
But
few people like that.
well, yeah, and some people don't seem that spiritual,
Mhm.
but it's likely the people that never have anything bad happen to them, it's likely their previous life was a mess. They were either handicapped or they were murdered or, you know, something that really burned up a ton of karma. So in
Mhm.
this lifetime, they're just kind of Teflon. They just kind of float right through, you know.
Gotcha.
That's how it works.
All right.
Cause and effect. Yeah.
All right. So then, what? Why all the strife then? Why do we have to get to the point that we are at each other's throats before Maitreya steps in?
Well, we don't have to be at each other's throats before he steps in, but we're going to be. Yeah. And this separation shows us clearly that the way we have set up life isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
It's not working, and we need changes. Now, the young people see that. They can't wait for change.
Yeah.
They see the need immediately. The older folks, especially in finance and religion,
Mm-hmm.
don't want anything to change. Keep it the
healthcare.
way it is. And healthcare. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many aspects of life. See, we have forgotten that every aspect of life is spiritual. Maitreya and the
It should
masters
be.
come to remind us.
Mm-hmm.
Even money is a great spiritual tool if it's
Sure.
used wisely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's energy exchange. Absolutely.
Sciences, healthcare, education, family, every aspect of life, the arts can be spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
should be an expression of our spirituality. We are all innately spiritual, but we've forgotten who we are. And Maitreya and the masters have come to remind us that we're not humans having spiritual experiences. We're spirits having a human experience.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And so that's what the masters are coming to teach. They're coming to teach us self-realization, who we really are. And once we are convinced by our own experience of who we really are, we will start to act more and more that way. We will start to look to line up our will with God's will in our actions. You know, you can believe all the stuff you want to believe, but it's how you act in the world that tells the story.
Yeah.
You know, you can have a tremendous amount of love in your heart, but if you don't act with love, if you don't serve others, by the way, that's how we serve God, by serving others.
Right.
And that's, churches were set up to make that easy. In churches, we see each other all the time and we can serve each other, you know, and that's how we serve God. So, when we start to see that we're all brothers and sisters, that we're all the same, that we all have souls, that skin color means nothing, that religion means very little in terms of separation,
Mm-hmm.
that we're just children of one father, you know, or mother, or whatever you want to call God, makes no difference. God doesn't care. I have it on good authority. God doesn't care. There are no sexes, you know.
Yeah.
Now the masters that are coming forward now are all male, and then male bodies, and there's a reason for that. This is the age of Tara. This is the age of female energy.
Mm-hmm.
The nurturing aspect of God, the mother aspect of God. That's this age. So there's tremendous female nurturing mother energy now, and the male masters come to offset that, to balance it. The first master that comes in a physical body as a woman will be the master who was Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Oh.
Joan of Arc is also one of the great masters.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So my question was going to be, when we're in the age of Pisces, where it was all super male dominated, there were,
Yes.
it feels like it was all male
Mhm.
masters too, right? Buddha, Jesus, everybody we talked about just over the past hour, they've all been male. So
Yep.
are we missing something?
No, not at all. It's a balancing act that the masters know that we don't know. The masters are behind the women's equality and all the women's movements. The masters are the energy behind that. They see us as totally equal regardless of sex. That sex makes no difference. We're
Mhm.
all the
Right.
same. The masters are behind that. I want to finish, if I may, the thing about Aquarius.
Of course. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. This thing about the ages is actually scientific. It's not astrology designed for entertainment in newspapers and magazines. It's astronomy. Our solar system, and consequently our Earth, is surrounded by 12 huge constellations. We call them the zodiac. And those constellations are, in terms of Earth's evolution, about 2,250 years apart. They're not all the same distance apart. But when we come into alignment one at a time, we come into alignment with one of these great, powerful energies, and they have tremendous energy, and they pour it into the planet. They're designed to help us evolve. The two primary energies for the last 2,000 years, we have been in the age of Pisces. So these great constellations have tremendous energy, and when we come into alignment with one of them, it's like a door opens and we can receive that energy. And it's done for the purpose of Earth's evolution and the evolution of our whole solar system. Everything's a unit. The planet is a unit. The solar system is a unit. The constellation we're in. What's our constellation?
The Milky Way?
The what?
That's the galaxy.
The galaxy is a Milky Way.
The galaxy, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Milky Way. Yeah, exactly. That's a unit. So any part of it that gets behind slows down the evolution of everybody else. And that's what Earth is doing right now.
And that's why all these aliens are on here saying, hey, wake up. Come on. You're holding everybody up.
Yeah, because we can't end war or starvation. And we are holding back the evolution of the entire solar system. So it's time we get help, Yeah. So
you just answered a question I have for a lot of people, is why? Why do aliens or spirit guides or whatever, why do they go to such effort to try to help us? It's because we're the stragglers.
We're the blockage.
Wow.
They're plunging us.
Yeah. But most of the time we have asked them for help. Our spiritual kingdom goes to the spiritual kingdom. Most of the UFOs are from Mars and Venus, and our neighbors, which makes sense. And then our spiritual kingdom has gone to theirs and said, please help us restore Earth's evolutionary process. So one of the things they have are huge motherships up there that are doing nothing but mopping up pollution 24 hours a day to keep our planet alive. We owe them a huge karmic debt. Now, they can't mop it all up because it's not their mess. The law of cause and effect. We made the mess. We have to clean it up. Okay. I could talk to you about space people all day long. But
I was just going to say, you're going down another rabbit hole I totally want to talk to you about too, but we're unfortunately short on time. So please go ahead and finish your
Benjamin Krem worked with them. And so he knows a lot about them. So if you want to do another show sometime on the UFOs, I'll be happy to do it.
We absolutely have to do that.
Tell you why they're here and what their main purposes are and so on.
Oh, yeah.
Where they come from. Yeah.
Count on it.
Okay.
Ooh,
so
like a cliffhanger.
So these energies pound into planet Earth to help with our evolution. The two primary energies of Pisces are individuality and dedication to an ideal. Man has come out of the herd. We stand as powerful individuals on our own now. And the dedication to the ideal of freedom saved the world in World War I and World War II. So Pisces has served its purpose. Now, if you talk to an astronomer, they call the change of the ages, they call that the precession of the equinox. That's their term for it. But it's the same thing. In 1625, we started moving out of the influence of Pisces. And in 1675, we started moving into the influence of Aquarius, the next constellation. Goes backwards from the astrology. And so now we're receiving these tremendous Aquarian energies, which are very different. The two primary energies of Aquarius are cooperation and synthesis. So here's how the evolution works. These powerful individuals built under Pisces are now going to learn how to work together cooperatively under Aquarius. You see, it all makes sense. That's why I said it just makes too much sense not to believe it,
To be true, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. The energies that we are getting now are not supporting individuals at all. That's why I said earlier, these little dictators, their time is over. They just don't know it yet. What's going to happen is Aquarian energy only supports groups in action. Groups. That's why people marching in the streets could save our healthcare. They had all that Aquarian energy behind them. So Aquarian energy is going to change the world, and the people of the world are going to run the world. And Benjamin Crumb's master even went so far as to say that the president of the United States will no longer be one person. It will be a panel of wise people.
Oh,
It will be
Interesting.
It will be a group. Yeah, because that's what Aquarian energy supports. So now what we're seeing is the death of one civilization and all the agony that goes with that. Nothing works. Healthcare doesn't work. Education doesn't work. Governments don't support the people. Nothing is working. All these institutions that were built under Piscean energy is being withdrawn.
Right.
Mhm.
They're collapsing. These institutions are collapsing. There's nothing we can do to save them except rebuild them with the Aquarian energies of cooperation. And once we rebuild these entities, these great institutions, they will serve humanity for another 2,000 years. But that's what's coming. And a lot of people are going to be scared to death because they're going to say, what, you're going to make all these changes in the government? You're going to make all these changes in healthcare? And the answer is yes. The thing is, it needs to kind of go slowly so that people can accept it. Because if people don't accept it, the vast majority of people don't accept the change, then it will fall away. It won't
Right.
last. So
there's a danger of that then.
yes, it needs
The danger of it not working.
Of it happening too fast, and then you got to start over. Okay. So, and the masters will help us with that. Listen, there'll be a master in every aspect of life. There'll be a master giving us advice in the arts, in politics and government, in science, in education, in healthcare. There'll be a master in every aspect of life that will be giving. In religion, every major religion will have its own master, and they will give us suggestions, and then we can either follow them or not. We have free will. This is so important. We have free will. It's sacred. The masters would never infringe our free will by forcing us to do something or telling us to do something. They will only suggest. They're teachers, and so our free will, like I said, is that's why is it sacred? Because that's how we learn and grow. We make a choice. The goal isn't to always choose right. The goal is to learn from every choice. You go, whoa, that didn't work. I'm not going to do that again. That's what sociologists do. I'm a sociologist. That's my degree. And
so is she.
Oh, okay.
Anthropology.
Oh, okay.
Anthropology. Sorry.
Close. Cultural anthropologists.
Sociologists study things with a hypothesis, and then they find out no, that it didn't work. Okay, well, that puts up a big sign there for all the other sociologists to say, don't go down this path. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. Even if we choose wrong, we learn from it. That's why we have free will. Yeah.
Right. I'm afraid that's what the aliens are doing. They put a sign up and saying, don't go there. There's nothing there. The dead end. Don't go there. But Dick, we are leaving so much meat on this bone, but unfortunately, New Reality TV yells at me when we come in over an hour, so we're going to have to cut it short. However, I would definitely invite all of those that are listening or watching to reach out to you or to learn more about you. So what is the best, or about Share International, what is the best way for someone to do that?
Sure. We have a great website that's got video on it, audio. It's got all kinds of stories, all kinds of background on the Ageless Wisdom teachings. And there are more than one website, but the website I'm going to give out is the one in the US. This is Share, SHARE, hyphen, that's a dash, international, all spelled out, .us, share-international.us. And you can click through to the worldwide website from there too, if you choose to go further. That's a great, great website. And I want to give you a quote from Maitreya to end.
Wonderful.
Maitreya, the royal road to spiritual growth, according to the Ageless Wisdom, is meditation and service. Okay, Maitreya says, make sure that not one day passes without some act of true service, and be assured that my help will be yours. Isn't that beautiful?
That is wonderful.
That's a great way to end the show.
Perfect.
Dick, this has been absolutely fascinating. The time went by so quickly. We're so grateful for you to come and talk to us and give us hope in this crazy world that we're living in. And we're definitely looking forward to part 2 where we talk about all the UFOs.
Thank you. There is hope. It's a great time to be alive. We're going to see wonderful changes.
Awesome.
Great.
Come on, maitreya. All right. Thanks so much, Jake.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Well, that does it for this episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this show. We know that you have many choices, and it is not lost on us that you are here. And if you like this episode, please consider leaving a review. It's one of the easiest ways to help us reach others. And before you go, I don't know if you've noticed, but high vibe creators like us who share these topics without the need to resort to clickbait or fear-based tactics are truly getting drowned out by those that focus on getting the click. That fear-based algorithm is out of control and making it a lot more difficult to get these messages that raise the consciousness of the planet out into the world. It's becoming harder and harder to be discovered in the sea of voices interested in our space. So if you enjoy what we're doing here, if you learn something from our podcast, or if you'd like to get this podcast ad-free delivered directly to your inbox, then please consider becoming a member of the Skeptic Metaphysicians Premium by going to skepticmetaphysician.com and signing up for our newsletter. There's a link to sign up in the show notes of this episode. If you are already a premium member of this podcast, thank you for your support. And if you're not a member, please consider becoming a patron of our work. If you want real knowledge in a world of fear-based content, it's essential to support those of us out there that are still trying to get them to you without resorting to triggering headlines and thumbnails. As always, please like and share this podcast so that we can grow our audience, because the more people that have access to this kind of information, the better. As always, thank you for your time and support, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians.